Good morning, November the 4th. It is freezing here in Los Angeles today.
Come on.
50 degrees. I know. What do you mean? Come on.
No,
Hey, it's just me
fresh.
and
It's fresh.
yeah. Well, it's just me and Andy today here in the office. You know, Rob is on his. No, I got you. Rob's in sunny, on his way to sunny Hawaii this morning. So good for him. And then we'll have some of the other brokers from the floor. We'll have them in here probably on Monday. We'll have Rock and Roll Brad, and we'll have Basketball Hunter, and we got a lot of interesting people on our floor. Hey, Andy, you know, we're getting close. We're getting really, really close to the elections.
Definitely.
And these Democrats, the far left, they are pulling all kind of things out of their hats right now. Look at who they got. I mean, look who they got talking. They've got Hillary Clinton, of all people.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, come on. Hillary Clinton needs to shut her fat trap and just be quiet and let things happen like they're supposed to happen, because she isn't going to be able to do a damn thing. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah. I mean, she, they trot her out here. I don't know. I guess people still think that she's a voice that people listen to. I don't know why that.
I don't know why she loses everything that she runs for.
Exactly.
The only way she ever gets something is given to her.
Right.
She even lost her husband to Monica Lewinsky at one time. Remember that? It's true. It's true. I did not have sex with that woman, then come out crying later on that he had sex with her.
I don't think that was the only woman that she.
Oh, heck no. Heck no. Heck no. Hey, listen, I want to share something with you. Greg Hunter, who has USA Watchdog. Greg Hunter was an investigative reporter for two TV station networks. He was with ABC and CNN. I bet you didn't know that. Yeah. And he did a lot of financial stories that centered around some sort of fraud, all right? And the biggest thing that he says that he learned is that frauds end quickly. And he goes on, he says, I use Bernie Madoff as an example. Madoff conducted a $60 billion Ponzi hedge fund for 20 years. And then it all come crashing down on him, and it ended Thursday, December the 11th of 2008, when Madoff was arrested, and then his pathetic ass died in prison. As Forrest Gump said, and then one day it's over just like that. Remember when Forrest Gump said that? And one day it's over just like that. Well, the gigantic voting, how can I say it without being too far? The gigantic voting scheme that actually advanced Biden into office is now starting to show signs that it's beginning to fall apart. And how much do Democrats have to commit when the leader of their party is at a 10% approval rating? And that is a record, he says, that my sources say are going back all the way to the Civil War. And he talks about, again, I'm trying to say this without getting bumped off or anything. He talks about the CV-19 vax. He says it's also coming to an end. And it started with Dr. Deborah Birx admitting on Fox 3 months ago. She said, I knew these vaccines were not going to protect against infection, and I think we overplayed the vaccines. She said that. She was actually one of those that was right next door to, standing right there to Fauci all the time. And it was a downhill from there. And now every week, and this isn't me just making this up, now every week there are reports from around the world of people just dropping over dead, usually from a cardiac, a heart attack, and millions have reported vax injuries. And 600 million doses of the CV-19 vaccination was injected in Americans alone. And we're now just getting started. So it's just really now starting. And the big tell that the vax is coming to an end, to an abrupt end, happened this week when an article in The Atlantic was asking to declare a pandemic amnesty. You know about this, Andy?
No, I didn't.
This was published in The Atlantic. And these evil people, or these people, know what's coming, and it won't be pretty. And the public response has been vicious and vile against these lockdown lunatics and these CV-19 clot shot. What's happening with these clots? I mean, there's a lot of people out there getting blood clots right now. And
worse.
I even know someone. And then soon everyone will know that they have been, whatever the word, bamboozled, injured, or people have even died from it. I know of a guy, 90, Andy, you know him, because he's a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
Was a good friend of ours' father. Now, the week before he died, or no, 2 weeks. 2 weeks before he died, we were having a big old birthday party for him. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
You weren't there, but David and I,
Okay.
and anyway, and he was up, he was dancing, he had his care worker with him, and his father, his son is a big time doctor for reconstructive surgery, like plastic surgery, Dr. David Amron. And David and his father, he was out there having a good time dancing. He had a lot of pretty ladies dancing with him. He was having a great time. And then he ended up going to the hospital for his normal checkup. And do you know, I don't know what happened, but somehow they ended up giving him a shot, and he ended up actually dying there at the hospital. He never came back home.
Yeah.
And he was healthy as anything. He was 98 years old. But they decided to take his life. I mean, it was crazy. It was right after the shot, mind you.
Yeah.
This was in Los Angeles here. And finally, Greg talks about the financial fraud that's going on for decades is now coming to an end. And it was all turbocharged in the 2008 meltdown. And he said the Fed fixed it all with money printing, and it never stopped. And now inflation is raging at 16%, yet they're telling you it's only 8%. Total lies and money printing that caused the total fraud. And we're now told this week that the Fed we were told this week that the Fed was going to pivot. Everyone was talking about, I even thought maybe the Fed was going to pivot because that's what they were pointing to, and cut back on these rate hikes, which is what they should be doing. And we're told, and because see, look, the market, don't get fooled by the stock market thinking that because the market is up, the economy is doing great. And the only reason the market is up today is because of the job reports. Well, guess what? There should be jobs. When you shut something down for so long and we have a pandemic and then you open it back up, well, people start going back to work. Things start happening. So naturally, the numbers are going to go up. So they're going to parade on those numbers, believe me. And don't be fooled by the market, because the market is not what puts money in your pockets. That's not what does it. So let me share something else with you. So we're told now that the Fed was going to pivot, is what we were looking at. And we were told that the Fed was going to raise its inflation target to 3%. Well, that's fake news as its finest right there. And Fed head Powell said just the opposite when he announced another 0.75 basis points, right? 75% rate. And said that they're going to keep it up until the Fed hits the old 2% inflation. Well, the pain coming from the interest rate hikes are now just beginning. And the end of the economic fraud based on free money and low rates is coming to a screeching halt. Remember, frauds end quickly. This is what Greg said. So I got a video I want to share with you. And this is from Sam Zell, who's a billionaire. And Sam Zell has purchased a lot of gold, and there's a reason why. But I want you to watch this video this morning. Hopefully I got the videos right today. But I want you to watch this video, and then Andy and I are going to comment on this as well. So take a look at this.
We have heard from a number of business leaders who have been very concerned about the Fed's rate hike, the level we're getting to, saying that it's already having a big impact on business and potentially putting us in a recession if we're not already in one. What's your take on this? Because I know as recently as July, you were still thinking the Fed had some room to run.
Yeah, I think the Fed is doing all the right things now, reflective of the fact that the Fed didn't do all the right things earlier this year. The concept of transitory inflation is pretty awful. And I've never heard that phrase before, and I'm sure they'll never use it again. But we overflooded this society with capital. We debased, a fiat currency, we worked for $8 trillion that we did in 3 years. We used to do, stuff in Congress that was $1 billion, and that was a big deal. $1 trillion. And how could you not expect that to create inflation? And not only a minor inflation, but 10% inflation is a serious scenario. I'm not even sure that that's really reflective of how much inflation is really existing.
So if the Fed's doing the right thing right now, you would encourage them to keep this up. What Jay Powell said yesterday was right, and that means what in terms of the pain that the economy is going to feel?
Well, I think that the likelihood is that we're going to have a recession. Frankly, that's what happens when you flood the world with money and everything is free. You lead to excess, and excess ultimately leads to a recession.
Can the Fed do it by themselves by trying to do this? Because other central banks, not the Bank of England, which just did 75 basis points in the last few minutes, but other central banks like the European Central Bank have kind of indicated that they're going to pivot a little bit because of how bad the recession there is anticipated. And I just wonder the resolve that you're going to have in the Federal Reserve and other places if the global recession really starts to pinch.
Well, I don't think that there's ever been much of a case for unified action worldwide. And the attempts to do so have not been very successful. We have a particular situation here. I mean, during the pandemic, the U.S. was far and away the leader in relaxing covenants and making money free. And that means that on the other side of that same coin, I think the Fed has to be very resilient to bring this inflation back to normal.
I guess I wonder what you're doing with your investments at this point. If that's the case, then stock market probably has further to fall. Interest rates maybe move higher from here. What do you do?
I think interest rates are going to move higher from here. I think that a lot of the discussion about interest rates have talked in terms of absolutes, when in fact I think relatives are more important than absolutes. So, taking the cost of capital from 2 to 0, in my opinion, accomplished very little. Taking interest rates from 0 to 2 accomplished very little. And it's only now that we're in the 3s and 4s and on our way to the 5s, that we're seeing some impact. But it's still very early, and I wouldn't get, I don't think there's any basis for being overly optimistic that this will be done very quickly or without pain. I mean, you go back to end of World War II to today, we've had a series of recessions. We've never had a recession without a liquidity crisis. And if I were guessing, I would think that a liquidity crisis is the next item on the agenda.
Are you hoarding cash then?
I'm sorry?
Are you hoarding cash then?
Well, I guess I've been hoarding cash for some time. And at first I could see, holding a lot of cash in an inflationary environment, maybe not so smooth. But the more I looked at the situation, the more I was convinced that, liquidity is value. And there's definitely a liquidity issue that's arising. I mean, at Equity Residential, we just finished redoing our revolver. Now we're an A- company and a behemoth and $40 billion company and very low leverage. And getting that revolver done was a challenge. It was hard.
So this is what he's talking about. He's talking about a liquidity crisis going on right now, and that's very real. Andy, we've been talking about that all week. We've been talking about, the liquidity crisis and, where this is headed. And, this is why it's important. And he didn't say it, but Sam Zell, he's bought a lot of gold because he knows that, it is an asset. It's a hard asset, and it's always something that you can fall back on and exchange for more value later on, like I've always said. You want to say something?
Yeah, we've been talking about these themes for quite a while here. So all of you out there should be pretty well aware of what's going on. You can't flood, like he said, you can't flood the economy with all that liquidity like they did, all that money printing.
Fake money. Synthetic. Remember, they talk about it being synthetic.
All the fake money, and then think that there's not going to be any effect. So they did that. They denied inflation for quite a while. It took them almost a year to finally say inflation was real and it was here to stay. And then they're overreacting now because they feel like they look bad. They got caught with their pants down.
Right.
So now they're trying to get so hawkish. And this is, you can see where this leads. This is going to lead to a recession. This is going to lead to a major fall in home prices. It's already starting. And it's going to be a recession. It's going to be a loss of jobs. And then they're going to be running back to the same old strategies. So you just want to free yourself from this. It's almost like a cycle of addiction. You get really high, you get all pumped up, right? And then you say, okay, I'm never going to take the drug again, and then there you are taking it again. You want to get out of that system. You want to get into real assets, which gold and silver are, like Sam Zell, like Ray Dalio, Peter Schiff.
Like me.
Like us here, right?
Like
we'll get you some great coins, beautiful coins that you're always going to have. You're going to pass down to your kids, to your grandkids. It'll be a family heirloom that you'll hold on your wealth, and your great-grandchildren will say, wow, I'm glad great-grandpa gave me this coin instead of giving me cash.
Yeah, because he if he falls back on hard times or something, needs some money for tuition, books, or something like that.
Yeah, it's always going to be liquid.
Exactly. Hey, Andy, you ever heard of this woman, Catherine Woods? She has this company called ARK, A-R-K, right?
Yeah, she's got hammered, boys.
Well, let me tell you something.
She was a rock star.
Now it isn't just overpriced public visionary. This woman, Cathy Wood, or Catherine Wood, whatever they call it, is now offering to potential investors. The ARK manager is now also trying to hawk shares of the newly private Twitter, according to new reports. And now that Elon Musk has arguably overpaid for Twitter at $44 billion, Wood has been partnering with an investment app called Titan to allow, listen to this, retail investors. Now, what can go wrong with retail investors? Retail investors to gain access to private companies in her ARK Venture Fund, including the newly private Twitter, and this is what New York Post just wrote. And so Titan's investor relations chief, John Day Yonker, wrote that retail investors can't just buy the stock on the market anymore. But the ARK Invest team was able to negotiate with him for a piece of the company before delisting it. So considering that the company was widely available for well under its proposed deal price for weeks prior to the closure, it doesn't seem like the uniqueness of an opportunity that I see. And so other investors now seem to share the same skepticism, while the New York Post is reporting that some believe that Wood is actually selling Twitter as a way to clear a bad deal from her books. Because, she lost a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, her fund. I mean, she was, a couple of years ago, she was a rock star. She was on fire. She had all that Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
She did really well. Her fund did amazing. And then, boom, But
she's using other people's money. And see,
she got knocked out, and her fund got hammered, and she's looking for ways to try to redeem herself.
Yeah, exactly. One source actually told the Post that ARK was stupid enough to invest in Elon's deal, and now they're trying to get retail to actually buy it. And in the listing on Titan for the sale of the private shares, Twitter is touted by saying Twitter wants to be digital town square, which could be lucrative. And Elon is bold and a visionary thinker, and whose ideas should reinvigorate the business. So the solicitation fails to mention again that these shares were publicly available below the deal price just days ago, and before a slew of advertisers, including Audi and Pfizer, which paused advertising on the social media platform. And Titan actually lists the sole con of the company, as many companies are competing for limited attention in the social media content space. What? I mean, come on. They're literally, it sounds to me like almost inside trading or trying to bring people in when they know there's really nothing there. What's your thoughts?
Well, like you said, the stock was available at a lower price before the buyout.
They're they're overpricing.
And now that it's private, the shares are going to cost more. And I don't know. I mean, is she arbitraging and making the difference?
It sounds like it.
It does kind of look like it.
And these people, what they're doing is they're trying to scam retail into overpaying Twitter after Elon admitted he's overpaying. Think about that. And people bought something dumb, and now they're trying to pawn it off on even dumber money. Remember, we've always said, and I don't mean to be calling you dumb, but a lot of these retail investors, they don't know what they're doing. They'll put their inheritance, they'll put their tax checks, they'll put whatever in there, thinking that they're going to become billionaires like Elon Musk. And listen, this is another thing that Elon does. I mean, look what he did with Dogecoin. Just because he says it's making all kind of money, these kids go ahead, I shouldn't just say kids, these retail investors go ahead and put their money in there, and then they cry wolf because they lost their money. It's really bad. So, the dumber money is retail, and, I got to tell you, this whole thing that they're talking about, I can't disagree with it. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like she's arbitrage. She looks like she's part of it. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing.
She's had a really bad year. I'll tell you that. I mean, that if you look up ARK, that fund is really taking a hit. I mean, hey, most of the market has really been hit, but those aggressive funds like that, they when the market goes up, they do much better than the average. But when it goes down, they do a lot worse than what a average S&P or Nasdaq composite would do, because they have higher leverage, and they do riskier things.
I agree. I totally agree. Look, this is, getting back to what Sam Zell was talking about and what this is going on. The real solid thing is gold. And I'll tell you something. Right now, central banks are buying up a lot of gold. In fact, there was 300 tons that was just bought the other day. And it's becoming more and more. And you think about it. Why are these central banks buying up all this gold? Well, the reason is because they know that it's the only thing that's considered real money. And like we were talking about yesterday, you got Representative Mooney from West Virginia, who's actually put a bill in to bring us back to the gold standard and anchor the dollar to gold. So it's looking more and more like gold is going to be what is going to be the backstop for any type of digital currency that's out there, like central bank digital currency. And getting back to Twitter, I got even more information, Andy. So Twitter reportedly is laying off half of its workforce. That's 7,500 people because they got a total of 15,000. And that's what we're talking about, massive layoffs. Remember, I've been keep talking about massive layoffs. Well, now Twitter's laying off 7,500. So those 7,500 people now got to go find jobs. Maybe they'll go to work for Uber. I don't know. Who knows? 7,500 people. And
is Amazon still hiring drivers?
Maybe. I don't know. Amazon's got their own problems right now. Their stock's way down.
Everything's way down. And yeah, you just released, like you said, 7,500 people who are mostly high-tech workers into the marketplace.
Do you think they're really high-tech workers? I mean, come on. Some of these people, they walk around with their lunchbox, or they go up and play ping pong, or they go up,
very true,
lay out in the sun. Or,
yeah, right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sure there's a lot of extraneous fat to cut off that company, and that he could make it a lot leaner, more efficient company, and that's what he did. He one of his talents, I think, is doing that. So, but you have a lot of people who are going to be entering the job market.
I think
without jobs, without a source of income, without the ability to pay rent, that is a very serious thing.
I think Elon Musk is one of the greatest salesmen on earth. I mean, come on, he really is. First of all, he can tell you that go buy a kitten. The kittens are going to make a lot of money for it, and you'll go out and buy it. People will go out and buy kittens. Yeah. He could probably come out with his own. I mean, he's really good at that. I give my hat off to him because that guy can sell anything, and he sells it just by announcing it. He doesn't even have to be in front of you.
Yeah.
And you buy it. So it's interesting. We'll see where this Twitter goes to. But right now, from what I'm hearing, a lot of advertisers have jumped ship.
Oh, they have.
Oh yeah, or they're considering jumping ship.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that really opens up the whole social media game. You have Getter, you have Gab, Truth Social, the conservative sites. So it's more of an open playing field, which might be a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, which I think is good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to share another video with you. We talk a lot about this View, this conservative TV show called The View.
No, it's not conservative.
I mean, I'm sorry, not conservative, liberal. Man, I got conservative on my mind because we're going to win. Only 4 more days.
We're going to make our own conservative View show, right? Where we talk about, you don't have to listen to these dingbat women, just these shrill, just liberal, I don't know what to call them, Harridan women, just whine and complain and just condemn everybody who doesn't think like them.
Oh, man, to me, I think they're very racist.
Think so?
Oh, I think so. In a lot of ways, they're racist toward us conservatives.
Yeah.
And the things that they call us, like cockroaches, they call the women cockroaches.
Oh,
watch this, Andy. Watch this, and then let's talk about this. Watch this. Well, here we go. Sorry about that. Here we go. Watch this. What happened here? Well, Do we have to watch that? Well, we'll come back to that in a minute. I'll pull it in here. But, as far as watch this.
Can't seem to get these words out that we don't have no trouble saying.
Saying it doesn't exist is not an answer to the problem. And that's what they keep saying. Republicans.
But what's also surprising to me is the abortion issue. I read a poll just yesterday that white Republican suburban women are now going to vote Republican.
Why?
It's almost like roaches voting for Raid, right? It's
think
like they're voting.
No, it's
They're voting
insulting to the voter.
They're voting against their own self-interest. Do they want to live in Gilead?
Okay,
do they
so
want to live in the hands?
Do we love
Tail?
democracy or not? Because just saying that it's insulting to the voter. People make up decisions on what's right for their family, and the idea that you should have a say for everyone else's vote.
The fact that women are voting against
You
their
had a different
own
view on
healthcare.
abortion not that long ago, and you
I have that
But
view.
that issue is
Right,
but then why is another woman
But
not
I am very
able to have a different
surprised
view?
that white Republican suburban women
But why
are
is
voting
racist.
against their
It's
own
not just
healthcare.
white. There's a lot of
I have not really recently
black women out there that are
evolved
against
on
abortions
the
as well.
issue.
And
I am
very, very many
tolerant. That is my
Latino.
faith. I believe that
Yeah.
abortion is wrong
Yeah.
for me. There's a separation
Yeah, for her,
between
then
state, a government, and
No,
church.
I mean,
I do not
Andy,
have the right
it's
to tell
insane
someone else.
what this woman is saying and calling our white women. Why does it have to be white women are cockroaches?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's really.
that's what I'm trying to
That's
tell you. It's
despicable.
very
That's just
racist.
despicable. Yeah.
They're very racist on this show.
Yeah,
And this is why, for me, I think The View is not a view at all. It's a disgrace.
No, you're right. It's a complete disgrace. And for her to say that, who is she to say, oh, they're not voting in their own interest? Like they're not adults and they can't make their own decision, and you know what's best for them. That's the whole thing about the far left and the Democratic Party is their presumption. They always know what's best for you, for society, for everybody, and they get to decide for you. You don't get to decide. They get to decide. And it's so presumptuous. It's so self-righteous and sanctimonious. It's just disgusting, to be honest.
Andy, he's just right down the street from us. I mean, we could literally walk across the street and be in his audience if we wanted to.
Who's arguing?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, okay.
But far left activist Jimmy Kimmel admitted this week on a podcast that he lost half of his audience due to anti-Trump agenda. But he says he's happy with his decision, though, and says it was worth it. But he lost half of his audience. Even more so, he said, more than half. So, look, you can be a comedian, you can be a journalist, you can be all of this, but you don't have to be racist, right? And you got to admit, Trump may have done some things, but he also did a lot of great things for our country, and he made our country great again. Just like his MAGA word said, make America great again. He did that. The only problem was that there was this COVID-19 vaccine
Pandemic.
pandemic that came into our country and literally took us all down and locked us up, and people thought that President Trump hadn't done his best with it, but you got to remember it came at the end of his election too. Came during the end of his election. And they planned this whole thing right at the end of his election, and guess what? He was booted. And now we've got somebody in the office that doesn't know right from left. He doesn't know if he's going to go off the right side of the stage or left side of the stage. In fact, he has to be helped off. And this guy, I tell you what, like I said earlier, 10% is what's, showing on his poll numbers right now. That's the lowest we've ever seen.
Wow.
10%. So, get out and vote. We're only a few days away, and I'll tell you why I'm talking about get out and vote. Even Gavin Newsom, listen to this. Gavin Newsom has now issued a warning to his own party. Have you heard about this?
No.
Yeah, he says a red wave is coming because we're getting crushed on our narrative.
Well, that's the thing. It's not just getting crushed on the narrative, like who can tell a better story. It's getting crushed on the facts of life, on the
facts,
on the inflation, on the crime,
not a
on
hoax.
The open border. It's not making up. Oh, we better tell our story a little better. No, it's about real things that happen in life. It's not about just a narrative. That's what the Democrats think. They think it's all about the narrative. It's all about if we just tell a good enough bedtime story, everybody will go to sleep. Well, no. People have real lives. They see what's going on in their lives, and they're not that stupid.
Exactly. Look, Democrats, they've failed to compete with Republicans on messaging. And as a result, there is a red wave coming on next Tuesday. And this is exactly the words that Gavin Newsom stated out of his own mouth. And asked whether the election feels like a red wave, Newsom replied, yeah, of course it does. And he says, I'm not paid to say that. This is what he told CBS, Major Garrett, in an interview on Tuesday. He says, I get it. Look, I could be the cheerleader. I'm also pragmatic. You feel it. So the Democrats definitely are feeling the wave coming. So they're going to do, as far as I'm concerned, from what I'm seeing, they're going to do everything in their power to try to convince you or anybody out there that's not listening to them. They're going to try everything in their power, and that's why they bring on Hillary Clinton, bringing on Obama, who is just I've never seen Obama get as angry as he's been getting lately.
Yeah, they're in bad
Have you
shape.
seen it?
Yeah, they're in bad shape.
And he's got hecklers, like literally. I saw one that what's her name? Katie Hobbs or something. Anyway, the journalist was just questioning her, and they body slammed him on the floor and literally grabbed him by his neck and pulled him out the door. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's really sad. You've got right now, Hillary Clinton, who husband associated himself with pedophilist who? Jeffrey Epstein, right? And partied with Epstein on his pedophile island. And Clinton made at least 27 trips, 27 times trips on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane. And most of those flights were with underage little girls. And, there's a complete list of the Clinton associates who died mysteriously or committed suicide before their public testimony. And the list contains nearly 50 names from what I'm hearing from sources, right? And so the Gateway pundit reported on half of these naked, homeless, illegal immigrants, and one was named David DePapi, who apparently assaulted Paul Pelosi with a hammer inside his home. And Pelosi also called DePapi his friend in a call with 911 while he was in the bathroom by himself. Kind of curious. So this leaves us with more questions that answers us about what happened that night. But given the background, it's clear that DePapi is not a MAGA extremist like the fake news media and the Democrats would want you to believe. And yesterday on CNN, Hillary Clinton criticized Kari Lake's comments at her Ask Me Anything tour that Kari Lake was on. And where Lake was asked about how she will increase school safety, Lake responded, it's not impossible to protect our kids at school. They act like it is. Nancy Pelosi, she's got protection when she's in D.C. And apparently her house doesn't have a lot of protection. But if our lawmakers can have protection, and if our politicians can have protection, and if our athletes, then certainly the most important people in our lives, our children, should have protection. Wow, well said, Andy.
Yeah. No, she's. I'm very impressed with Carrie Lake. She's very smart. She's very verbally deft at handling reporters' questions on the fly, and she really. She's a very just powerful, dynamic woman, and she's very clear in her beliefs. She articulates herself very well.
Yeah.
She's a really good communicator.
I'll tell you what, when I look at her, it's like she's got a halo around her. I'm not kidding you. I'm mesmerized by her. Not only of her beauty just from inside and outside,
Yeah.
but there's something
she's
mystical about this woman.
She's very talented, and she's very very has a natural charisma.
Yeah.
And
she cares.
Yeah.
You can feel it.
Right. And I think, with the future, whatever Trump decides to do, I think the Republicans are well represented with Ron DeSantis and Carrie Lake kind of being the leading lights now of the Republican Party going forward. I think that's great leadership.
Yeah,
these are the people.
Godspeed.
We don't need more Mitch McConnells and these inside politicians, these lifetime politicians. We need people like that, really inspirational leaders who are really courageous and fearless.
No, it's
and
time.
Speak the truth.
I agree. It's time for like the Mitch McConnells and the Pelosi's. They're old. They're done. They've done their time. They should retire and go. They don't need to die on the bench. You know what I mean? I don't mean to say it like that, but it's true.
I know. Don't these guys? Don't they want to enjoy life? Don't they want to sit in the sauna or go to the beach or hang out in London or Paris? Enjoy life. You think they've been doing this for 50 years? Wouldn't they want to go have some fun and enjoy life?
Right. They've made their money.
I know, but obviously they're addicted to something. They're addicted to the power. They're addicted to the
power,
the prestige.
I think it's the power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, think about it. What 80-year-old?
I know. You're 80 years old.
Right. I totally get. Listen, I want to share something else. Lake also suggested that criminal charges need to be delivered to the COVID-19 decision makers who shut down her state of Arizona, is what she's even saying.
Great.
And evidently, this was just way too much. Look, have you all seen Clinton lately, Hillary? She has big old bags under her eyes. She looks tired. She looks worried. She looks scared. And she should be, because there is a lot behind that woman's life with Bill.
Yeah.
That I told you, I had a friend of mine, I won't mention his name, but a friend of mine who literally told me that a lot of stuff. I knew about Hillary. I knew about Monica Lewinsky, Andy, before it even happened. Okay. When Bill was saying, Scott. Anyway, I was told that it was already happening, and yeah, and I can remember I'd go into his apartment and it'd be like, Bill and I are going to a Chicago Bulls game. Just wanted to know if you wanted to come with us. And they would have flown the plane in and a whole bit. I mean, those people, they really did a lot to our economy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Clintons are very afraid of somebody, of Republicans getting control of the,
there's
of the
a
House,
history.
And then the investigations that they might instigate, and a lot of people, it would be like all the rats running from the ship.
Look who's real quiet, though. It's not Bill talking. It's Hillary talking.
Yeah.
Right? Bill kind of like, I don't say nothing.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about my climate change and get my money. That's all I want to talk about.
Yeah, Bill's just worried about whatever is his next.
But now you have Obama, out there screaming about this and that because he's afraid too.
Yeah.
There's a lot behind Obama as well, I think. I don't know. I'm not making up anything. I don't know.
All these Democrat politicians are very worried that the spotlight's going to get shined down on them, and they are, they have a lot to answer for. The whole Hillary email thing was a ridiculous joke. Anybody else would have been convicted, and she got off completely scot-free. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other things like that she could be nailed on, and she's very worried about it.
I think the dominoes are going to start falling.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, Jim Jordan, he's ready for take them all down. And that's why I'm like, I cannot wait. We're like just days away. It's like the next episode of, and I cannot wait to go turn it on and watch the next episode. Listen, this was way too much, Andy, for Hillary Clinton, who said this is sadly a real indicator of where we are in our country right now, she said. And Clinton then accused Lake of laughing at Paul Pelosi's attack. Now, nobody should be attacked, especially with nobody. No one should
Especially with a hammer.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that, but then I didn't say it. But, I mean, come on. No one should be attacked, especially in their own home.
Yeah.
No one should be attacked.
Of course.
That's your home. That's your privacy. That's where I go in and wind, and I usually don't come out till the next day,
Yep.
right? Because it's just too crazy out there on the streets. But anybody who looks at the story of David DePape and Paul Pelosi probably would laugh. And this is perhaps the most bizarre occurrence of 2022, and the San Francisco District Attorney refuses to release any of the police body cam footage of the 9/11 audio. But you know what? Eventually we will see it, because once it gets deposed and once they get it into court, they're going to have to show those, because the attorney for DePape can request those videos, and they will have to, once they're subpoenaed, show those videos. So down the road, when this is all put away, we'll probably see those videos. But then DePape is going to be sent over back to Canada when he does his time or whatever. Me personally, I think he's going to do a little time served or something, and then they're going to send him off to Canada. And then he's going to get locked up. Because Trudeau, he's a good friend of the Pelosi's.
Yeah, sure.
That's what I think.
I just hope he stays alive and he's not, Epstein.
Oh, you mean Poppy?
Yeah, I hope Poppy
who knows?
stays alive, and so he can speak and say what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not releasing the body cam footage, the security footage from the house. There's so many things that don't add up in this cockamamie story.
Well, let me share with you, Andy, what Carrie Lake stated.
Yeah.
After Hillary Clinton came out and ran her mouth. Watch this, you guys. Watch this. Well. Here we go again. Well, hold on one sec. While I get that done, we're gonna watch this.
But I was a little concerned today, I'm gonna be honest, when I saw Hillary Clinton bad mouthing me, and she looked angry and actually scared and just completely unrelated. I want you to know, just in case you're wondering, I'm in perfect health. My brakes on my car are in good shape, and I'm not suicidal. And we're going to win this thing on Tuesday.
Well said. Well said. But Andy, when you look at her, I don't know what it is. I see like this aura around her, like.
Yeah, she's got a very powerful presence.
Mystic, like, I don't know, like she could be president or something, and I would listen to her.
Absolutely. I mean,
incredible.
Like I said, I think Ron DeSantis and Carrie Lake are the two leading post-Trump populist kind of leaders, MAGA conservative leaders, and I think both of them. I mean, she's very young, right? And so is DeSantis, and DeSantis is only or something. How old is Carrie Lake? Early 40s?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's young, good looking, smart, energetic. It's great.
Knows the fake media very well.
Knows the fake media.
Because she was actually in media herself and was surrounded by it all the time.
That's so important today. Trump really changed the game with understanding how the media works and the whole fake news thing and calling it fake news and seeing how they lie and manipulate and twist things. So you need to be aware of that, and she absolutely knows that game. she's ahead of them. You see how she talks to reporters. She knows their game better than
she
they do.
She plays it like Trump did.
Oh, yeah.
She goes, and all the fake media out there. Hey, I didn't know this. I don't know if you knew this or not, but this Katie Hobbs, who's running against Miss Lake.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this, but her husband is a child therapist for transgender children. I didn't know this. I didn't know this. And this is according to a new report and a lawsuit that he was named in. And this is why Katie Hobbs has shown support for youth transgender surgery amid these new Arizona laws that are prohibiting children from receiving permanent gender reassignment surgery and boys from participating in girls' sports. Did you know? I didn't know this.
No, I didn't. I wasn't aware. So is he an actual doctor?
Yeah. So listen, it's reported that Katie Hobbs also voted against legislation amending Arizona's revised statutes to include our historic national motto and the Arizona state motto in the state school curriculum. And instead, Hobbs introduced overly sexually education laws that would begin in the first grade and promote homosexuality in young children. My stomach is turning right now. That is evil.
Yeah.
If that isn't a disgrace to God above.
First grade.
For
heaven's sake, leave kids alone.
Listen, let me tell you.
Let them grow at their own pace.
Andy, let me share this with you, and then we'll talk about this. In March, Democrats in Arizona rallied to protect trans youth after Republicans in the Arizona legislature passed new laws protecting children from permanent gender reassignment surgery and woke gender theory in sports. And SB 1138 will prohibit physicians from performing irreversible, Andy, gender reassignment surgeries. Think about it. You're a young child. You're coaxed into having, oh my God, your sex changed, and now you get to a point where you understand what happened, and now you want to change back, but you can't, Andy.
10 years old. That is.
And SB 1165 will keep biological males out of women's sports. That was the law that Arizona legislator. And at the same time, Katie Hobbs released this statement, vile statement, standing in solidarity with transgender minors. And she says, my heart goes out to the entire LGBTQ community, especially our youth, who are being targeted and discriminated against by their own government and being denied their freedom of identity, said Katie Hobbs. I mean, come on. A girl doesn't even start getting her bazookas until she's at a certain age and starts wearing a bra. Why? Andy, this is sick.
It is really, I think that's one thing that people on the left don't understand, that they've gone so far in this direction where they're trying to do trans surgery on little kids that are 10 years old that really we know can't even make real decisions. Your brain is not even developed.
They're still eating candy bars and carrying lunch boxes to school.
They have no idea who they really are. And to do something that's irreversible at such a young age, it's really, it almost seems like that these people in this industry are pushing it, or like they want it.
They are. That's what it seems like.
They want it more than the kid does.
Think about it. Why would Katie Hobbs support gender mutilation for children?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you. the Arizona gubernatorial candidate, Katie Hobbs' husband, is a child, I didn't know this, a child psychiatrist who was named in an explosive lawsuit that was brought against the state by the parents of a 10-year-old transgender child in 2020, according to documents that were reviewed by the Daily Wire. Patrick Goodman is a psychiatrist on staff at Phoenix Children's Hospital and specializes in serving youth and families affected by trauma and grief. And Goodman is also listed on a undated document as a provider in the hospital's gender support program, serving gender diverse and transgender youth. And the details of Goodman's work at the medical center aren't quite clear. They're unclear. And Phoenix Children's Hospital did not respond to multiple requests to make Goodman available for an interview. Hobbs, a Democrat that is facing Republican Kari Lake in the race to replace Republican Governor Doug Ducey, who is term limited out of office at the end of this year, Hobbs has publicly supported sex change surgeries for minors. And in March, she condemned Ducey for signing legislation banning sex change surgeries for minors and blocking biological males from competing in female sports leagues. And the hospital that employs Goodman takes a gender-affirming approach to the treatment of children diagnosed with gender dysphoria, or who identify as a sex different from their biological sex, according to the hospital's website. How can they even write something like that? Listen, every child has a different way of expressing gender, and some may express themselves in ways that are different from what we expect. And many gender-expansive children are comfortable with the sex they were assigned with at birth. However, there are times when a child may assert a gender identity that is different in form or not consistent with the sex they were assigned with at birth. They may also say that they're not comfortable with their physical sex characteristics, the website says. And the hospital identifies 3 different categories of gender-confused youth. And they identify it as gender-expansive youth, which is express a wider, more flexible range of gender identity and or expression that typically associated with their sex assigned at birth. Gender-questioning youth, which are exploring and discovering their gender identities. And then transgender youth, which is an umbrella term for children and youth whose gender identity is different from their sex assigned at birth. These are babies.
I know.
They're still jumping rope.
I know.
They're still
in the playground, just totally innocent.
They're still raising their hand, asking the teacher if they can go to the restroom.
And they're trying to encourage them. They're pushing this. You know, I mean, if somebody's confused about their gender, that's a very serious thing, and you have to take it very seriously. And they should take a lot of time and definitely not do anything while they're 10 years old or 12 years old, especially if you're just pushing. It's like they're pushing them. It's like they have this project. And
so Andy, why do the Democrats want transgender? I can't even say. Listen, in 2020,
I think it's just part of their whole mission to destroy the country, destroy the values of this country in any way they can. They really just want to destroy the values of this country, and they want to. It's a destructive force. It's a destructive force. It's an evil force.
Evil.
When it comes down to it.
Let me share a little bit more with you. So in 2020, the hospital. This is reported. Okay. In 2020, the hospital was indirectly involved in a lawsuit that brought against the state on behalf of these transgender children. And the children's guardian sued the state to force it to change the birth certificate of each child to reflect the gender it each now identifies as, rather than the biological sex. In Arizona, people are allowed to change their birth certificates only after undergoing a sex change operation. Well, Goodman, who is identified as a therapist to one of the children that's involved in the lawsuit, is a 10-year-old trans girl identified in court documents as, of course, Jane Doe. And in one document dated November the 9th, 2020, Goodman, boy, my phone is going off the hook on this one, is identified as a potential witness in the case and is expected to testify on the child's treatment. Well, Goodman was to testify in relation to Jane Doe's request for a preliminary injunction. Jane Doe's 10 years old, and she's requesting this stuff. She doesn't even know algebra yet. Hey, you teach it. She don't know math. She just knows 2 plus 2 and 4 plus 4 equals 8. Maybe 50 equals 100. Unbelievable. She's still, like I said, she's still eating her lunch boxes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Goodman was to testify in relation to Jane Doe's request for a preliminary injunction to force the state to change the child's birth certificate ahead of the start of the school year. Patrick is a therapist at Phoenix Children's Hospital and Jane Doe health provider. He is expected to testify regarding his mental health treatment of Jane Doe's gender dysphoria and opinion regarding Jane's health and well-being absent injunctive relief, a court filing states. And the case is ongoing, and it was not clear if Goodman has taken the stand yet. In the case of Goodman's patient, the boy began expressing himself, this is what they're saying, as a girl at 2.5 years old, according to these court documents.
I don't even know what that means, to express yourself as a girl, 2.5.
A little boy, mommy.
I don't even know what that means.
Mommy, I'm a girl. How would he even know it?
Yeah, there's something that's.
So, listen to this. Jane's parents now initially thought this was a phase. At 2 years old? But Jane persisted. Eventually, they brought her to a child psychologist specializing in care for young children with some prior experience with transgender youth. And Dr. Beth Ornufak, evaluated Jane over several sessions and concluded that Jane met the diagnostic criteria for gender dysphoria, a filing says. When it came time for Doe to start second grade, Doe's parents asked the school to allow their child to attend as a girl. The school agreed, but students recognized Doe, and the teasing and the bullying lasted for several years before Doe's parents attempted to enroll their child in a new school where the children wouldn't know Doe's history, according to the suit. And the new school where they would like to enroll her, however, will not enroll Jane as a female without a corrected birth certificate. So court documents state that Doe's parents did not seek medical treatment due to Doe's age, and under legislation Ducey signed into law this year, Doe cannot legally receive sex reassignment surgery until at the age of 18. Anyway, litigation in this case remains ongoing, and in the latest filings available, the court approved the plaintiff's request to compel information from the state on several questions after the plaintiffs filed a new complaint. And if Katie Hobbs were the governor of Arizona, she would likely overturn the new laws protecting minors from permanent life-altering surgery, helping her husband continue this disgusting practice. Remember, her husband is one of the guys that's doing these alterations on children. And Katie Hobbs, who's been endorsed by President Trump, exposed this news yesterday at her Arizona First rally in Arizona and said, we cannot let this monster anywhere near the governor's office. And Lake later said, if you're getting rich in politics, you are corrupt as heck. And Carrie Lake also called out the fake news media saying, I wonder if the fake news will cover it. Well, I had to share this, because this is all public. This is public knowledge. It's not threatening anything. The only person that's a real monster out there is Katie Hobbs and her husband, the one that's out there mutilating children. Andy?
It's a crazy time. It's a crazy time we live in.
That's why we got to vote.
It really just seems to me that there's a vested interest in pushing kids, to be trans, and I know some of them probably are, and it's a very tough thing to deal with. But it really is something that to do that, and it's irreversible. To do that to a 10-year-old when they're really not, we know they're not fully conscious.
Can they do it? I have a question for you. Can they do it? Do they do it to even younger children? Or has it got to be 10 and above?
I have no idea what they're doing it now. I thought.
Are they doing it here in California?
I thought things like that you had to be 18, but it seems like they're making this push to make it younger and younger.
Seems like they're brainwashing these children.
It seems like there is an element there that they're pushing it, and they're trying to encourage them. So it's getting crazy. It's just getting insane. It's hard to. I feel like the time we're in is a real. It's funny because they talk about making a transition from male to female or whatever, but we're really in a time of shifting. We're really in a time. We're not leaving one historical period and entering into another. So there's a lot of turmoil at this juncture, I think, in history.
Yeah, I agree with you. Andy, the people think that, I read the Bible, I follow Jesus, I am a Christian. Do I Bible thump? Do I go to church on a regular basis? The answer is no. But I'm a conservative, and I know right from wrong. And I know that the things that these liberals are pushing on children and other people is wrong. You put bad in, bad comes out. Well, that's what's happening to our country right now. They've been putting a lot of bad, and that's why the country or the world is reacting to bad. But when you put good in, like President Trump did, good came back out of it. And that's what we need to focus on. We need to focus on electing the officials that are going to put good, not bad. So get out and vote. We have, 4 days? It's Monday. November the 8th is what day? It's
Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah. Tuesday we're going to be, I'm definitely going to be, instead of for the first time mailing my vote in, I'm going to be actually going in person and standing in the line. And I'll let you know how that turns out. But I'm looking forward to placing my vote for good and helping good prevail and take out this bad energy that we've had in our country now for close to 2 years. Yep. Andy, so away from all the doom and gloom, I wish I wish I had good things to say. Well, the markets are up today. Well, that's a good thing. But gold is up like 40, 50 bucks an ounce today as well. That's a good thing. Your Bitcoin's up today. That's a good thing. There's a lot of good things that are up. But again, it's not about what keeps the economy running. The bad thing is it's still costing you more money in the grocery store. Like Biden said, instead of buying that Kellogg's Frosted Flakes or Kellogg's Raisin Bran, buy a generic brand of Kellogg Raisin Bran. Good luck at even finding Kellogg's on the shelf.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. Thanks, Joe, Sleepy Joe. I was in the grocery store last night, and I was shocked. I went just for the heck of it to see if I could find a cheaper brand. It was the same price.
Yeah.
It was the same price. So lies again. Anyway, Andy, so an Arab sheik is old. We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Have you figured it out?
I didn't get it.
All right. So an Arab sheik is old and must leave his fortune to one of his two sons. He makes a proposition. Both sons will ride their camels in a race, and whichever camel crosses the finish line last will win the fortune for its owner. Now, during the race, the two brothers wander aimlessly for days, neither willing to cross the finish line. And in desperation, they ask a wise man for advice. And he tells them. He tells them something, then the brothers leap onto their camels, and they charge toward the finish line. What did the wise man say?
I didn't get this one.
So the answer is the rules of the race were that the owners of the camel that crosses the finish line last wins the fortune. The wise man simply told them to switch their camels.
Oh. Okay.
That was a good one. That was a tough one.
So the faster one would be the other camel of the other guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very clever.
Very, very clever. All right, here's the one for this weekend.
Okay.
A man was walking in the rain. I was doing that yesterday. And he was in the middle of nowhere. And he had nothing and nowhere to hide. He came home all wet. But not a single hair on his head was wet. Why is that?
Not a single hair on his head was wet?
Yeah. He's out walking in the rain and he's soaking wet. But when he walks in home, not a single hair on his head was wet.
He was bald?
Yeah.
Hey.
Wow.
Hey.
That was a good one.
That was not so hard. Now that cheek one was hard. I was running that over in my head and I couldn't get it.
All right, here we go. Here goes one for the teacher. 14 of the kids in the class are girls. 8 of the kids are wearing blue shirts. 2 of the kids are neither girls or wear a blue shirt. If 5 of the kids are girls who wear blue shirts, how many kids are there in the class?
Okay, I got to see this one written down.
Ah,
That's too much information just to hold in my head. I got to see it written down.
I'll say it again, and then we'll talk about it on Monday.
Okay.
So 14 of the kids in the class are girls. 8 of the kids wear blue shirts. 2 of the kids are neither girls or wear a blue shirt. If 5 of the kids are girls who wear blue shirts, how many kids are in the class?
Okay, I can figure this one out. I just have to see it written down.
We'll see if Andy gets it on
Okay.
Monday.
That's like an LSAT question, LSAT question.
Listen,
Yeah.
I want to thank every one of you. Give us a call. You can call us at 800-753-8534, 800-753-8534. If you want to call me direct, call me in my office at 323-380-5485. Only 3 more weeks of this in this room, and then we're going to be setting up.
Oh.
Yeah, Romeo is alive now. Hi, Romeo. Let's say hi. Romo's up. He's here and alive. Anyway,
okay.
if you just wait, because in another, I would say by Christmas time, we're going to be in the living room. We'll have cameras up above us. It'll be like The View, but on a sofa and conservative. And guess what? We will have one, and the swamp will start being drained, and life will get a whole lot better. And but I tell you, even though we have our politicians in office and we're getting our country back to normal, inflation is still going to rage because you got Powell out there that's let a monster loose. God bless every single one of you. See you on Monday. Have any comments, go ahead and post them. Tell your friends. Subscribe to our channel, UGG Space TV or UGG TV Daily News, and we will see you on Monday. Take care.